Some students think of the college essay as a writing contest. Others think they have to reveal something dramatic or have a traumatic story or a killer punchline. You don't. You just need to know what you're really trying to say about yourself. A successful essay is about the theme, what the essay says about you. That's where today's guest comes in. Susan Knoppow has helped thousands of students and professionals understand how to write essays that are honest, structured, and clear. We're going to talk about how students can discover their theme, how to avoid common mistakes, and how to build an essay that actually works.
It's the College Talk Show. Today's theme, essays and the importance of theme, with special guest, Susan Knoppow. And now, here's your host, Chris Bell.
My guest today is Susan Knoppow, CEO of WOW Writing Workshop. She has helped thousands of students take the stress out of essay writing, and she's helped hundreds of people like me, counselors and consultants, to do the same. She's got this amazing, calm, clear way of showing students how to think about their writing and their essays. Welcome, Susan.
Thanks, Chris. I'm so glad to be here.
I am happy you're here. And let me ask you the first question. Let's start with a Common App essay. Why do most students begin with the writing process there? And do you think that's a good idea?
I think it's a great idea. And in fact, it is the essay that we suggest that students start with. We consider it the teaching essay. So when we work with students, we say this is the essay where they learn the process of writing essays. They learn how to read a prompt. They learn how to think about topics. They learn how to revise and get through from beginning to end. At the same time, it's challenging for students. They are sometimes afraid to think about, well, what should I write about? Do I need something amazing? Do I need something new and unique? And we say, well, step one is to understand the prompt.
Some people say, oh, you can write your essay and think about the prompt later.
I think paying attention to the prompt is crucial, and here's why. Common App has basically an overall set of instructions. Unfortunately, those instructions are only available if you actually log into the Common App and go to the place where you're going to leave your essay.
Right.
And then there are there's 7 options. The seventh one is topic of your choice. I'm not a big fan. There are 6 options, and those options without the overall instructions can be a little bit misleading. So I think that's why people say, just write anything. It'll fit into one of these categories. But the overall instructions say, and I'm paraphrasing, tell us something about yourself beyond your grades and scores and accomplishments.
Right.
It'll help us know more about you. They're not asking you to write something no one's ever written before. So then I take them into those 6 prompts, which go into tremendous detail. And I show them how each of the questions really has 2 parts. 1, what happened? Tell me a story. And 2, why does it matter? Why are you telling me this story? And it's the why that students tend to miss. What kind of person are you? And how can you illustrate that? And which of these questions will help you focus? So what we say is that they're balancing 3 things. The prompt, at least one positive characteristic, and what we like to call an anchor story, which is not the whole essay, but it's at least something to hold them in place. So as long as I can bring those 3 pieces together, a story, characteristic, and a prompt, it's much easier to answer a question than just to write out into the atmosphere and try to tie it back in later. So they don't have to pick the prompt first. They need to balance the prompt, the characteristics, and the story they want to tell.
Now, I know you also talk about this concept of theme. Can you describe what theme is and how does it relate to those other 3 points you just talked about?
So the theme is part of what I was talking about. What happened? I was in the car with my driver's ed instructor. We had this conversation. Why does it matter? Because these are the characteristics it illustrates. Because what happens is once students start writing, they get a lot of what happened. They describe the car and where they were going and what day it was and what the instructor was wearing. And you could say, wow, that's beautiful. So well written. Why are you telling me this? Your purpose is to show what kind of person you are. I'm going to be fine on your campus. I can talk to anybody. I can even deal well with people I disagree with. We tell students when you show your essay to your parent, to your counselor, to whoever, give them the prompt, give them the theme, and give them the essay. And then ask them, have I accomplished my goal? Did I answer the question? And do you know why I wrote this?
You've made a good point, Susan, that this is not the only part of the essay. The story is not the only part. But how do you help them figure out what story?
I'll give you an example. That just happened a couple days ago. So good. I have a new story to tell. So I had a student, and then I said, okay, what's your first idea? And he says, I love the water. I love to swim. I'm a diver. I love to go out in our boat. We have a lake behind our house. We have a dock. I could live on the water. And I said, okay, so that's great. That's part of your identity. It's your background. It's who you are. I get it. So what do I learn about you? And he just stopped. And he says, well, I don't know. I mean, I taught my sister's friend to jump off the second story dock. She was kind of nervous. I said, okay, are you like a guy who helps nervous people try new things? He's like, not really. That happened once. Wasn't a big deal. And so anyway, we're having this conversation. He's like, I don't think this is the story. I said, I don't think so either, but I didn't know. Maybe it is, because maybe he tells me that he went fishing with his little cousin and patiently taught him to put the worm on the hook. And now we've got a like, I have no idea. Okay, so he says, no, I don't think so. I said, all right, let's move on. He tells me another story. I guess he had a thing with some friends where they were going to do something stupid. He chose not to. It was a story about not giving into peer pressure. And like, I said, well, what do I learn about you? And he said, I don't just go along with the crowd. I have a lot of friends, but I am not swayed by just what other people are doing. I said, that makes you a pretty good candidate for college. Let's go back. What happened? My friends were about, and I said, you can give more detail, of course. My friends were going to do this thing. I thought it was a bad idea. I tried to talk them out of it. They went ahead with it, and I went home. Why does it matter? Because I am not swayed by peer pressure. Oh, and by the way, the next day we're still friends. I said, there you go. He understood it. That's how he chose his topic. And he was like, oh, I'm ready. I'm good. See you later. Like, that was enough.
What's the most common mistake students make when they're writing their essays?
I know I'm going to sound like a broken record. They don't understand the prompt. So let's walk away from the common application for a moment and look at a very common supplemental essay, a why this school essay, why us, why this major, why this school, why this whatever. So one school might say, why are you interested in this program or opportunity or major? And another school says, why have you chosen the major that you put in your selection on your application? They're different questions. And then the students will get into like, and I've been an Indiana fan forever. And I say, didn't ask that.
Right.
I mean, not that you can't say it, but if you're going to include it, understand that it's not going to make a difference. They know you want to come to their school. You're applying to their school. So with schools, if you want to go to NYU, they want to know that you're going to be okay in New York City. Another one, identity essays, let's call them. Describe a time when you were not in the majority. That could be among your cousins and you're older than them and they're all little children. It doesn't have to be about some big picture issue. And so we find that if we start with that step one always, and we can really lower the stakes and say, the question is the question. There's not a secret hidden question behind it. And that's really all I want, is for them before they start writing a draft to know what they want to include and why. And if they can answer those questions, then they're good.
What advice would you have for students who are feeling stuck or overwhelmed as they start this process?
Start out with the confidence that you have a list of schools that you're qualified for. Maybe a couple of them are a bit of a stretch, but you're qualified. Then remember that everything you need, you already have. You do not need an unusual experience. You do not need to have done something that no one's ever done before.
Your approach is a breath of fresh air. It takes the intensity down And I know, because I use your approach with my students, that it works. If people wanted to learn more about you or track you down or learn more about the Wow Writing Workshop, where would they go? How would they find you?
wowwritingworkshop.com. Yes, there are two W's in the middle. So wowwritingworkshop.com. We have free resources for students, free resources for professionals. We have all kinds of information. Of course, we have paid services. We train our colleagues like you, Chris. We're here. We've been here for 15 years and we're not going anywhere. So come find us.
Sounds great. Thank you so much. That's Susan Knoppow. Isn't she amazing? Stick around. We'll be right back.
This episode is brought to you by Bell College Consulting. Visit bellcollegeconsulting.com to learn more.
What a fantastic conversation with Susan. She has such a gift for making the writing process feel manageable and meaningful. I love the way she breaks down theme as the core of the essay, not just a creative extra. Now, it's the part of the show where I give a kind of summary of the top things we covered today. I call it Top Tips.
Top tips. Top tips. Kind of a summary, but we call it top tips. Top tips.
Here we go. Top tips for college application essays. Number 8, start with the Common App personal statement. Number 7, the purpose of your personal statement is to show what kind of person you are. Number 6, really understand the prompt and answer all parts, including the why part. Number 5, your essay should balance 3 things: the prompt, your personal characteristics, and the story that you're telling. Number 4, write with theme in mind. What happened? That's where you tell your story. And why does it matter? That's the personal characteristics that you're bringing forward. Number 3, when you show your essay to someone for input, give them the prompt, your theme, and the essay, and then ask them, did I answer the question? Do you know why I wrote this? Number 2, have a reason to include each part of your essay. And the number 1 tip for college application essays is your key test is, what does the reader learn about you? And there you go. That's the College Essay Show. A huge thank you to Susan Knoppow for joining us today. And remember, college is awesome.